Good morning, everybody. Hope you've got that Friday feeling, because I have. Can't wait to show you what we've got planned for you in this episode. Hope you look forward to these transfers, and I can't wait to start the first game with you all. Right, welcome to episode 47. This is going to be the transfer special. This is being recorded directly after 46. So, end of season review. Bearing in mind it was our highest ever finish. And we can see that Lewis Orford has won the transfer best buy, I guess you could say. At least he was the best rated this season because he got the highest average rating. So he was worth a 2 million buy-in, in my opinion, because like I said, he got the best rating of the season. Next up then was Ethan Leake. I think fans actually want to sign him, but I think he's too expensive. There's no way of us signing him. Strangely enough, he's only worth 21 to 30 million. Last time we loaned him before, we went from 30 to 43 million, I believe. That's interesting to see. Kane Taylor, obviously, we got on a free, I think, from Man City, which was a bonus for us because he's awesome, if I'm honest. I think he's going to be quite good for us. Robbie Woods, Mark Evans, and Marcus Brand, all great players that we had in on loan. Mark Evans paying a transfer loan fee, should I say. Jamal Baptiste came in on a free by chance. He's going to be great for us next season as well. Lombardi, he's going to be sold. There's no way he's staying. Hopefully we can get, I don't know, probably won't get anything, but at least we may get some 850 depending on the budget. Prince, he's going to be leaving again. Probably going to get nothing, but it's another space and it's a bit more on the budget as well. Moving forward then, we can see that the expectations was to avoid the relegation from the Scotland Championship. Our final position was 12th, bang on midpoint. Average home attendance was 95% of what our capacity is, so we'll probably be looking to ask them for an expansion. Top goal scorer was obviously Mark Evans with 18 goals, and board are pleased that we got a top half finish. Top half finish? Just about, I guess. Biggest win then was 6-1 against QPR. Match to remember, 4-0 against MK Dons. I would argue that it's probably this one is the match to remember, but nevertheless, or even this one may have been the match to remember, if to be fair. Woodson, on loan from Everton, got the goal of the season. Moving into the finances then, our reputation's still looking at national. No new sponsors on anything apart from our annual sponsorship. It's gone up 203,000. Broadcast revenues down somehow. Oh no, last season, sorry, it was 203,000. This time we got 1.3 million in sponsorship. So it's broadcast is down from 2.8 to 2.75. Corporate and hospitality is up from 290 to 750. Competition prize money, we've got nothing, but that won't be shown, I don't think, until the next season, because it's not going to give us the prize money for the championship yet. Match day commercial and retail is up on 358 from last season to 629 this season. Shirts sold almost 5,000, and that amounts to 413,000, which is pretty good. How we lined up then is pretty much, we've got a Conquo with Linz Foster on the left, Tomlinson on the right, Baptiste and Shipley in the middle. I'd probably agree with that, to be honest with you. Woods at the base of that defensive midfielder role, agree with that. Kane Taylor and Orford in the middle, agree with that. Kande, Deli Bashir out on the wings, yeah, I'll probably agree with that. And Mark Evans or Brandt up front, yeah, probably go with that too. Alright then, accolades. Fans player of the season, Lewis Orford, agree. Young player of the season, Lewis Orford. Sign of the season, Lewis Orford. Top goal scorer, we know. Most assists, Ethan Leake, pretty good. Most player of the match awards, man of the match awards, Ethan Leake again. Highest average rating, we know. Most passes completed per 90 is Lewis Shipley. Not bad. Competition awards, I don't think we've got any. Highest transfer paid of 2 million, we know, for Lewis Orford. Fastest goal came from Deli Bashir with 11 seconds. Magnus Brandt was the youngest goal scorer at 18 years old and 77 days. Solihull Moors owe everything to a fantastic start to the season. Again, same as last season, I don't think we actually had a great start to the season. Ultimately successful season for Solihull Moors, started superbly, set them up perfectly for what was to follow. I still don't believe we finished perfectly at the end. I'm not going to go through the dynamic timeline. I will look at the start of the season. It was okay, but the second month and the third month certainly weren't, nor was the fourth, so I don't understand sometimes what they're saying. Anyway, that's going to be it for the transfer, not for the transfer special obviously, but for the season review. We'll see you in a jiffy for you, but for me, it's probably going to be 4 days. See you in a jiffy. Welcome to the transfer market. So, before we go into the transfer market, I'd just like to say that I've done a ton of time on the back end of the staff. As you can see here, I've got 7 that I needed total. I think I'm down to like 4 needing now, so that's 4 left on the scouts. But as you can see, you can pause the video, you can have a look, see what I've put in there. Numbers next to them just are the stats that I needed, to be honest. So moving on from that. Transfers then, we're going to start with the outs. And you can see straight away then that the first players to leave would have been Kenny Mahoney. He left. He was a fringe player for us, and they offered us a bit of cash for him, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So he left. Secondly, then Josh Robinson. He wasn't being used, and I thought he was on quite a bit of money at the time, and I thought may as well cash in on him while we can. So we sold him, and we got nearly $1 million for him. Then we sold Prince, who was getting absolutely 0 game time with us, and just made sense to sell him. We got 6.5 for him, not a lot, but like I said, it's just someone off the wage bill. Lilly Red, he did a load of good stuff for us, and I ain't going to lie about that, but his attributes have just... We're past where his attributes need to be, basically, and I couldn't rely on him any longer, though he did a fantastic job for us, especially in the last season. If we was to look at his history and his career stats, you can see that he was fantastic for us. A 7, a 7 and a 6.92 when he first joined us in League 1. So he only got better realistically with time, and he was very consistent. 42 games, and he got us 5 and 9, and then the next season he got less appearances, but he got the same return. Unfortunately, only a slightly lower average rating. Never mind. After Lilly Red, then you have Casper Pete, who was our backup keeper. He wasn't really doing anything. I thought might as well move him on. Attributes wasn't really up to what I wanted, so he went. These guys were youth, so I'm not too fussed about them. Ronnie Stutter, then he's left. He was a bit of a bigger earner as well on our wage list, and his physicals were alright, but he wasn't really cutting the mustard when it came to actually being in the first team. So he left on a free to Hibernian. He wanted to run his contract drain anyway, so not a problem. Sam Earls will come back to, as you can see, it's a loan, so we've brought him in. He's gone out on a loan. Emran Soglo then has left for nearly just over $500,000. He was earning a bit more than that on our wage structure, and I think we are actually paying towards his wages with his new team as well. But it's worth it just to get him off our wage bill initially, I suppose. So, yeah, his attributes weren't really cutting the mustard for us either, so we got rid. Next up, then Fraser Hire, who was a youth, came from our youth team, but wasn't really doing anything for me, and he's gone off to Peterborough to sort of play his trade there. He's still a 4-star player, to be fair, potential 4-star player. Lewis Brown then has gone for 300-something thousand. He was good for us, but he didn't want to stick around, and he wanted to run his contract down, and I wasn't about that, so I decided to just cash in while I could, because he was on a lot more than that as well. And then Odin Christensen, he came in on a free, and I think he's left on a free, so no real loss there. Director of football signing that was as well. Alright then, so coming in then, firstly we've got Macaulay Pruvit. He's a 5-star potential with 3-star current ability. He is currently injured, unfortunately, so we won't see him for the first couple of weeks or whatnot. But he can play either side of the wing, and he can play striker too. His physicals are brilliant, and his attributes to contribute towards those physicals are perfect as well. So, yeah. Looking back at his history then, he hasn't really played a game at all, so I think for £400,000, and I think we have got instalments on this guy as well. But he's on nearly £4 a week as well. So yeah, he's marquee signing. Rob, one for you. Fenton Hurd from West Brom then. How much did you say we paid for him? 27,000. I think this is a bit of a steal, if I'm honest. So he can play across in the middle, and he can play as the attacking midfielder and out on the wings as well. He's only 23. He will get a lot better. He's 4-star potential ability with 2.5 current ability. He will get better as time goes on. I do promise you that. His traits are knocking the ball then the right hand side. He likes to knock it past. He likes to cut in from the left wing and cut inside from the right wing as well, which is going to come into great effect hopefully in the future. Non-competitive then shows that he's played 2 games, well 4, or with the substitute appearances as well, 4 assists and 2 goals with an average rating of 7.5. Not too shabby. Career wise then, he didn't play a single game before he came to us, unfortunately. So next up then, Adam Gunn, 100 grand we've paid for this fella. He's a goalkeeper currently playing in the under-21s. I'd like to just point out quickly before we move on, our youth intake and setup has been that bad up till lately that our director of football has been recruiting from the transfer market for the under-21s. As you've seen in the past transfer specials, when I've skipped over some players, they've been for the under-21s and under-18s. That's because our youth setup has been so bad. So they've been in the transfer market for players, not relying on our intakes. So he comes from Wolves. He's got a fairly professional personality, which is going to be standing him in great stead for the future. He's actually really good straight from the bat, to be fair. 20 years old, all these attributes are really, really good. It's only showing us 3.5 potential ability, but I think that will get better as he gets older, if I'm honest with you. In history, he's not really played any games at all. Not really too much of a problem. And we're not really paying too much for him as well, considering. That's good. So Kieran Slicker then, we've got on a free transfer. He's going to be our next backup keeper then. So he takes over Akoki's, I want to say Koki, who's it was initially, but I can't remember his name if I'm honest. He has conceded 7 total, but when you see the games we've played, you'll understand. So the physicals are decent. His goalkeeping is nothing to be sniffed at for a backup goalkeeper, if I'm honest. His career stats show that he's played in this the the Cinch Championship, which is obviously the Scottish Premier League. It's not great, but for us, it's perfect. You know, we're not paying him too much either, to be fair, considering all things considered. Then Rob Duffy is an under-21s player that our director of football has decided to snap up. I thought, why not? 400 quid, sure, do what you need to do. He's gone straight into the under-21s, and then I think that's the it didn't. So then we've got Lee Woodhouse, who we picked up for 700,000. I think we probably really overpaid for this guy, but he is only 19, so there's potential there for him to get a lot better. His physicals are great. He's still got 5-star potential. Yes, he's only 2-star current, but we are only paying him just over £1,000 a week, which is, in the grand scheme of things, really, really good for us. So I'm sure he'll get a lot of game time, and I'm sure these attributes will start flying up soon enough. In terms of history, he's not played a game of football either. I think that's it then for turn of the season there. Our next player comes from Newcastle again, Roger Rowley. This is our marquee signing as far as I'm concerned. He's a centre back. He's on 10.5 grand, nearly 11 grand a week if you want to take into account his appearance fees and whatnot. Yeah, 3 grand appearance fee. So he's on nearly 15 grand a week. He's easily probably our highest earner. But his physicals are great. His mentals are, for us, amazing. His work rate and his determination, he's gonna be a workhorse, I believe, from what I can see from this. And he's a no-nonsense centre-back, and when we switch to that 4-3-3, he can drop into that defensive midfielder role as well and get amongst it for the tackling. That said, because he's a centre-back, he's rather tall at 190 centimetres. I'm not sure what that works out at, but probably close to 6 foot. But with heading at 14 and a jumping reach of 15, we might be sending him up some corners once I get the tactics reset up for the set pieces. In terms of history then, he comes from a loan at Swansea where he played 20 games in Sky Bet League One with a 6.76 average rating. But I feel he's going to be a key player for us this season. Currently shown as 4.5 star potential with 3-star current ability. And give me a second. Samuelson, the guy who's gone out straight out on loan. So, a 19-year-old, 4-star potential. I reckon he probably might get a bit further than that. Gone on loan to Forest Green. He's came in for, initially he was cover for the midfield, to be honest with you. But his attributes are looking good. And hopefully while he's out on loan with Forest Green Rovers, or at least Forest Green Rovers, yeah, he will get better. I imagine that while he's out there, he'll probably be playing on a semi-regular basis, hopefully. And if he's not, I'll be speaking to their manager. But he'll come back to the under-21s again. Director of Football picked him up, so he had no games previously. So, next, I think this is another under-21s development. It is from Director of Football, just picking him up to fill out the team. There's not really much need to be said there. He's not that great, but 250 quid. Crack on. Ben Williams then, on loan from Liverpool. More of a cover guy to play anywhere down the middle on that defensive sort of backing. He's a 5-star potential player. He's only on £450 a week for us, so that's great. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to play him because of what we've got in the back four at the minute. But he does provide the cover all across the back four for us. And as I said, across defensive midfield and as a last resort midfield as well. History-wise, then he came from Sutton in League One where he played 17 games and got to 6.81. And then finally, we've got Tommy Doyle, who our Director of Football picked up to play central midfield, should I say, as a ball-winning midfielder and a box-to-box midfielder. He'll sort of run up and down box-to-box, as it says there, hopefully a bit more tirelessly than last. Again, one of the more experienced players. Obviously, we've brought in a lot of youngsters, so we needed someone who's a bit more level-headed, a bit more mature. And he's also got a bit of value, so if somebody comes in with that value later down the line, even if it's just 12 months, then I might capitalise on that and bring that in, and then bring in another guy later, because I think this guy was free. So yeah, freebie, and he's got plenty of Sky Bet 2, Vanarama National, some Premier League experience in there, some Championship experience in there, so he's no stranger to this sort of level, though he has played at a lower level recently, but at least he's played football, and that means he's going to be hopefully half decent for us this season, and maybe it's his shining star to put himself out there, maybe. So that's our transfers. If we was to look at the schedule, then we can see that we played Arsenal, Man United, Dorchester, Villa, Newcastle, and Kortrijk. So as you can see, whatever ratings that our players had in the game, that were there for the friendlies on the non-competitive, you can see why I said don't worry too much about what their ratings are at the minute, because those are really good teams that we've just played. Arsenal, Man U, Villa, because I wanted to, and they were playing good people. You know, they had a good setup for the teams. If I can show you, does it show you what teams you had up? And it does. You know, it's pretty decent first team, if I'm honest. I don't know who any of these players are apart from Douglas Lewis, because obviously it's changed. But if we was to click on Macias, you can see that this geezer is clearly a first team starter normally, because he's on 75 grand a week. If we was to go back and check on, say for example, who's Gertrude, yeah, £72,000 a week. So, you know, they're definitely first teamers, these guys. And then if we was to go back again, let's say click on Arsenal. Oh, no, not that Arsenal. If we just click on here, we can see that obviously we lost 2-1 at home, but at the same time, you know, look at this sort of formation they're playing. They've got Ramsdale in goal. Who's this Sidibe? He's one of their worst players. He's 19, he's worth nearly 37 to 60 million. is on 20 grand. He's obviously a breakout star for them. Don't tell me this ain't these first teamers. So, for sure, I think these guys have done absolutely fantastic. At 2-2 Man United, same detail. Who's to look at their team? Petrus, 19-year-old Romanian, breakout star. Obviously, he's going to be a first teamer this season, maybe. At least, if not a backup for the first team, for sure. Jadon Sancho, we know him. Johnson, Martinez, Lewis, Simican, we know Simican. He's great. He's 151 to 183 million, 160 grand. And we managed to get a 2-2 draw against these kind of players. I'm hoping that this is the year in the Championship. At least want to be reaching the playoffs, if I'm honest with you. So, the last thing I would like to look at is the facilities then. So we are now in the 11,790 all-seater from last year. We've got undersoil heating now. Pitch conditions obviously perfect. Average corporate facilities have been upgraded. Training facilities have been upgraded. Adequate youth facilities have been upgraded. Youth level's gone up to 4 from like 6 I think we started at. Junior coaching's gone up to good, and average youth recruitment has gone up as well. Both of these will look at fairly basic, I think. When we finished last season, I've managed to hit the board request with a few of these, and I've done as much as I can to bump it up a bit. But even if I don't really want any more coaches, there's no need for it. And if I was, I can't actually buy or get any better staff for the, say, like the under 21s. Like, for example, if I was to look at coach, let's just say I went for a coach that was all 9s as minimum, right? And we was to look at, say, like this guy and approach him for a contract. I can offer him maximum, I lock that in because obviously they're going to want to say coach, £650. I'm not getting anyone of decent value or decent quality attributes for £650. Not until I can say to my board, you know, finance, increase junior coaching budget, not decrease. So, with that then, I think that's it. And what we are going to do for the next episode, I think we're going to skip over. No, we'll play the Derby game and we'll play the Grimsby game. Both of those we'll play, and you'll get to see all our pretty much new team in action. So, if you like the episode, please drop a like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the very next episode. Thank you for watching.